drifted into a golden sky, watching the clouds move like slow waves around our ships. For a moment, nobody spoke. We just looked outside and felt how far from home we were. The light felt softer here, almost warm. Even though we knew the world below was unforgiving, an endless ocean of clouds stretched beneath us, hiding a surface filled with mystery. 3 planet ships moved together in silence, carrying hopes packed tighter than any cargo. Back on Earth, some people called this mission impossible, but to us it felt like the start of something new. The first floating platform unfolded slowly, metal arms opening like it was taking its first breath. Hydrogen tanks filled and expanded, lifting the structure gently into calmer winds. Engineers watched every detail, holding their breath as the platform searched for balance. When it finally stabilized, quiet cheers echoed through the cabins. Outside, acidic rain brushed against the outer shell like distant whispers. Inside, someone laughed, and suddenly the place felt less like a machine and more like a home. Robots moved gracefully, unfolding solar panels toward the pale sunlight above the clouds. Wind turbines began turning, learning the rhythm of a sky that never truly rested. Small domes connected to the platform, forming the first outlines of a floating community. In one dome, a scientist planted a tiny seed, pressing it gently into prepared soil. It didn't look like much, but everyone watching felt the weight of that moment. Atmospheric miners activated, their engines humming softly as they harvested gas from the clouds. Carbon dioxide transformed into fuel, proof that even a hostile world could offer something back. Life support systems glowed to life, filling the air with warmth and the quiet comfort of oxygen. Days turned into months as the colony slowly found its rhythm among the winds. 1 year and 7 months later, new ships arrived carrying fresh faces and nervous excitement. Through thick yellow fog, the settlers saw the platform shining like a small star waiting for them. Docking clamps locked into place. With a deep metallic sound that echoed through the station, the newcomers stepped carefully, adjusting to gravity that felt almost like home again. At first, they stayed inside their ships, preparing themselves for a life above the clouds. Outside, the sky followed a strange cycle of long days and even longer nights. Artificial lights inside the domes recreated familiar mornings, giving everyone a sense of normal life. Plants in the biodome slowly changed color under the alien sunlight, turning shades of deep green and violet. Storm-watching drones floated quietly nearby, keeping a constant eye on the shifting atmosphere. Engineers built sky bridges that connected living spaces, labs, and small gardens. Music began playing through a tiny radio channel, bringing a piece of Earth into the colony. People decorated their rooms with photos, drawings, and little reminders of where they came from. A maintenance crew prepared one ship for its long journey back home. Through wide observation windows, astronauts watched clouds drift by like slow rivers in the sky. Scientists studied the atmosphere every day, searching for answers hidden within the mist. New biodome farms expanded, filling the air with the fresh scent of growing life. The platform slowly stopped feeling like an experiment and started feeling like a small town. Artists sketched the golden horizon while engineers fine-tuned the balance systems. And little by little, high above a burning world, humanity learned how to belong among the clouds. New settlers arrived carrying stories, memories, and a quiet determination to make this place work. Some stood near the observation glass for hours, watching the endless clouds drift past like a living ocean. A small garden expanded inside the biodome, leaves glowing under soft artificial light. Engineers introduced a new time system, helping everyone adjust to the long days and longer nights. Children began drawing pictures of the sky they now called home, filling the walls with color. Scientists opened a new lab dedicated to studying the strange chemistry of the atmosphere. They moved slowly and carefully, knowing every discovery here could change humanity's future. A rehabilitation center welcomed arriving passengers, helping their bodies recover from long journeys through space. Panoramic windows showed golden storms rolling far away, beautiful but distant. Medical teams tested new technology, designed to restore strength after months in microgravity. Nearby, technicians repaired ships, coating their surfaces to survive the acidic environment. Trade routes slowly formed, connecting the floating colony with distant worlds. Debates began back on Earth about whether this new sky city would change the balance of exploration. Inside the colony, life continued quietly, shaped by routine and shared purpose. Artists gathered in a small dome, painting the clouds as they shifted from yellow to deep orange. A composer recorded the sound of the winds, turning the planet's voice into music. The population grew, and the platform expanded into something that felt more like a town than a station. New robots were designed to explore deeper layers of the atmosphere, where humans could not yet go. Pilots trained to navigate the unpredictable winds, treating the sky like an endless ocean to sail. A tiny book club formed, settlers sharing old stories brought from Earth. In a memory garden, people planted seeds from their home countries, creating a patchwork of cultures. More ships gathered in orbit, waiting for the perfect alignment to begin their descent. The colony reached 1,000 residents, each person adding another heartbeat to the floating city. Students learned solar engineering, preparing for a future powered by the endless light above the clouds. Self-assembling solar arrays drifted higher into the atmosphere, shining like distant mirrors. Energy systems captured the temperature difference between warm lower clouds and the cooler colony air. Explorers established a small outpost deeper in the clouds, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Radio broadcasts connected the colony with other settlements across the solar system. Writers began creating the first stories inspired entirely by life above this alien sky. And as the colony grew brighter each day, people realized they were no longer just surviving here. They were building a new culture among the clouds. The floating city kept growing, adding new domes that glowed softly against the endless sky. A sky council formed, where settlers gathered to decide how their new world should evolve. Markets opened inside pressurized halls, filled with handmade tools, art, and food grown in biodomes. Engineered insects and tiny birds helped gardens thrive, bringing movement and life into the green spaces. A virtual reality project allowed people to walk across landscapes they could never safely reach below the clouds. Festivals began to appear on the calendar, blending memories from Earth with new traditions born here. Children ran through biodome, parks filled with soft lights and bioluminescent wings fluttering in the air. Mentors guided new arrivals, sharing lessons learned from the early days of uncertainty. Advanced bioprinters arrived, capable of creating medical tissue and helping the colony stay independent. Pressure farms floating deeper in the atmosphere produced dense crops that grew faster than expected. Pilots formed a wind navigation guild, proud of every hour spent mastering the restless sky. Families gathered to watch the first Venus-born child prepare for a journey back to Earth. A maternity clinic opened, welcoming a new generation raised entirely above the clouds. Engineers unveiled a specialized suit designed for brief exploration of the deadly surface far below. Scientists developed algae that transformed toxic vapor into breathable air and usable fuel. New materials grown from engineered bacteria became stronger than steel, yet light enough to float. Daycare domes filled with laughter as babies watched the clouds drift endlessly outside. A shared digital archive preserved memories from Earth, protecting history for future generations. Cooking contests transformed familiar recipes into something uniquely shaped by life on this world. Public transport pods began gliding between colony sections, making the growing city feel connected. Researchers debated the future of terraforming, wondering if the planet itself could someday change. More families chose to move here, bringing culture, music, and traditions from across Earth. Seasonal festivals recreated winter snow, spring rain, and summer sunlight inside controlled domes. Diplomats arrived for important talks, recognizing the colony as more than just an experiment. And as new lights turned on across the expanding platforms, the Sky City finally felt alive with its own identity. During the long 48-hour nights, a choir gathered near the observation deck, their voices echoing softly through the halls. Students learned how to read the clouds, understanding which colors meant calm and which warned of danger. Designers showcased new technology created entirely within the colony, proving how far they had come from their first fragile days. A cloud market opened, filled with traders exchanging Earth imports for materials grown high above the planet. Engineers worked on massive solar mirrors placed in orbit, trying to guide sunlight and shape the future climate. Families celebrated harvest festivals inside biodomes, surrounded by plants that once struggled to survive here. A grand theater displayed views of distant worlds, allowing settlers to feel connected to places they might never visit again. Small star shuttles carried passengers above the clouds at night, revealing a sky filled with unfamiliar constellations. Scientists studied new forms of biological engineering, searching for ways life could adapt beyond Earth. An observatory opened, its instruments listening to the quiet signals of the sun and nearby planets. Delivery drones crossed the skies between different platforms, turning the colony into a network of floating neighborhoods. Geoengineers released experimental microbes designed to slowly reduce the acidic environment around them. A new sport called cloud racing captured everyone's attention, pilots gliding through the turbulent winds with fearless precision. A sky memorial was built to honor those who never made it back home. A silent sculpture suspended in the garden dome. The year of the Great Crossing brought thousands more settlers, filling the colony with new energy and new ideas. A technology summit gathered engineers, artists, and dreamers from across the solar system. Plans formed for daring missions toward nearby worlds, pushing exploration even further. Researchers discussed creating advanced fuels using the extreme conditions of the planet below. Solar sail ships launched silently, racing toward distant destinations powered only by light. Cafes and quiet corners appeared across the city, places where strangers became neighbors over shared stories. Children born here began asking what Earth looked like, imagining oceans they had never seen. Teachers guided them through lessons about gravity, stars, and the fragile blue world humanity came from. Every new arrival added another layer of culture, turning the floating platforms into a living mosaic of humanity. Lights from expanding sections reflected off the clouds, making the colony visible from far above. And as the winds carried the city forward, the settlers realized they were no longer visitors. They were the first true citizens of the sky. Morning light returned slowly, washing the domes in soft gold as the colony drifted through calmer winds. A new observatory began mapping the sky, searching for signals hidden between distant stars. Public transport pods moved silently along clear routes, carrying families, engineers, and dreamers across the platforms. Schools filled with the sound of curious questions, as children learned what it meant to grow up between worlds. Researchers experimented with cloud silk, spinning strong fibers from living organisms adapted to the atmosphere. Artists transformed those fibers into banners that waved gently in the filtered sunlight. A pressure-grown crystal market opened, displaying materials that could only exist in this alien sky. Engineers tested new suits designed for deeper exploration, pushing human limits step by careful step. Radio broadcasts connected scattered colonies, turning distance into shared conversation. A group of settlers created a sky garden filled with plants from different regions of Earth, each carrying a piece of home. Pilots trained through endless simulations, preparing for flights through unpredictable storms. The first cloud marathon took place inside connected domes, runners moving under glowing artificial skies. Medical teams advanced their research, developing treatments inspired by the unique environment around them. Visitors arrived from neighboring colonies, bringing news, music, and unfamiliar traditions. Cultural festivals blended languages and songs, creating a new identity shaped by many worlds. A team of engineers launched experimental drones to study the darker lower clouds. Children gathered near the glass walls, watching lightning flicker far below like silent fireworks. Writers published stories about life in the sky, turning everyday moments into legends. The Colony Council debated expansion, balancing growth with the fragile safety of their floating home. More solar mirrors shifted position in orbit, reflecting light like distant stars guiding the city forward. Families prepared meals using entirely local ingredients for the first time, celebrating a step toward independence. Teachers reminded students how unlikely this place once seemed, and how courage turned imagination into reality. As another long night approached, soft lights glowed across the platforms, creating a warm horizon above the clouds. People paused to look outside, realizing that the sky no longer felt foreign. And in that quiet moment, the floating colony felt less like a project, and more like a living world of its own. The final expansion phase began quietly, without celebration, just the steady sound of work continuing through the halls. Engineers watched the sunrise reflect across the clouds, knowing they were witnessing history in slow motion. Families gathered near the observation decks, sharing stories of the journeys that brought them here. A gentle announcement echoed through the colony, marking another year of survival above the burning world below. Children who had never seen Earth pressed their hands against the glass, imagining oceans and forests from old photographs. The floating city moved as one living structure, balanced between science and hope. Musicians played soft melodies during the long night cycle, their songs drifting through the corridors like memories. Garden domes filled with warm light as the first harvest of the season was shared among neighbors. Pilots returned from distant routes, their ships glowing softly as they docked against the platforms. Teachers spoke about courage, reminding everyone how fragile the first days had felt. Above the colony, solar mirrors shimmered like distant stars guiding the future forward. Scientists looked toward the horizon, wondering how far humanity could go if it kept believing in impossible places. A quiet festival began, not loud or grand, just people gathering to celebrate being alive together. Lanterns floated inside the domes, reflecting across calm faces and hopeful eyes. Someone started counting down the years since the first arrival, and the number felt both small and endless. The sky outside shifted from gold to deep violet as another long night embraced the city. In the distance, ships moved like slow comets, carrying new stories toward the colony. A child laughed, echoing through the hallways, and for a moment every worry felt lighter. Engineers powered down their tools, stepping back to look at what they had built together. Artists painted the final glow of sunset, capturing a world that once seemed unreachable. The clouds drifted quietly beneath them, no longer a threat but a familiar landscape. People stood side by side near the windows, watching the stars appear one by one. No one said it out loud, but everyone felt it. This place had become more than an experiment. It had become a home shaped by courage, patience, and the dream of something beyond fear. And as the lights dimmed and the colony settled into another long night, humanity continued its journey, not just surviving among the clouds, but learning how to belong there.